Does your child have frequent temper tantrums and you don't know what to do exactly? Or are they very intense? If so, welcome and welcome back to the channel. Here we are giving parenting tips that are very effective, that are tested and science based. I am Marie Eve. I'm a mom to 5 children, and also I've been teaching on the web for over 16 years now. And what I found on the topic is that there are a plethora of methods. I even gave some myself. But what I find now that is most effective for all kinds of tantrums, because I've tested so much across the years, and every child is different and every tantrum is different, every crisis. But what I found out is that there's one simple phrase that we can remember, and it's gonna do for all the tantrums. I'm going to explain the background of why it works and after what to do in many situations so you can know exactly what to do with your child in a loving parenting way. Just a quick background because we all want to know the solution. I came up and I formulated this because I studied hunter-gatherers for our true dispositions as humans. So democratic societies, what they used to do for millennia. From what we can know, they've been studied until around 1950s, where they kind of were mixed up with the Western world after that. So what we know from anthropologist studies is that first tantrums, like what they were living is that when they were tantrums they would let them do anything, like just whether what was going on. And from what I gathered, so often it was just like seen as a developmental stage. All kids would do that. And also what I saw is that it was very loving and supportive and non-judgmental as well. So what I suggest that you do every time there's a tantrum, and you gonna remember this phrase, okay? It's weather the storm with love. And it seems very simple, and this is why I like it, and I'm going to explain everything in it. But when we are in the thick of it, when there's something very intense going on, when we are alone, because most of us parents, we don't have the tribe right now. We are alone at home, or we are alone at the supermarket, and people are judging often. But you know what is important is your little love. So I'm going to start with the love portion, okay? And I'm going to ask you to remember that when you got your child, when they were born, you were probably just flushed with love. I need you to remember that when there's a tantrum, just the flush of love that you had, okay? You fell in love with your child, and this is what's going to support you all through this, because they are still, even more so when there's a tantrum, they are very much in their part of the brain which is not that much developed, the back part of the brain, and their prefrontal cortex has not matured yet when they are young, and it will start maturing around 3, 4 and up to 12. Like at 12 they start to be conscious of other people's emotion and start to be able to really activate this part of their brain. But before that, it's more like a test. It functions sometimes, sometimes not. And so we have to take that into consideration, okay? So just remember that they are acting like a baby because they are biologically in this state probably. What you need to do, okay, is hold this love, hold this space for them wherever you are, be it outside, be it at the supermarket, be it at home. Just be very loving. I also like to give the example as what would you do if it was an adult? You would be very supportive. You wouldn't use harsh language, hard tone to maybe an adult you met on the street who's having a meltdown. So this is the attitude we have to bring with our children when they have a tantrum. And the weather the storm part, well, it's a storm that's going on in their mind. There's a storm of emotions, of hormones firing, and adrenaline, all of this kind of cortisol with the stress. So it's really a stressful time for them, for their parasympathetic system and all of their systems. So what you're gonna do is just what would you do in a very heavy storm and a tornado? You would protect your child. So there's nothing that could hurt them around, so they're not able to maybe to hurt their head and bash their head somewhere, or kick something and it breaks, something like that. Okay, so you can hold your child if it needs to, just use the force that's necessary, not restraint, but just to control. You can, if they agree, not all child will like that, to be hugged. You could ask, would you like a hug, and guide gently from the anger to like the more peaceful sadness. So you take from anger to sadness. This is a good way to do this. We're gonna come back to that. And as well, you protect other people around, but not their feeling and stuff like that at the supermarket. You protect maybe other kids, so you can just separate and be like a referee. And you can as well like ask for help from other adults around to just help you out. Okay, to add to the background, now that you know the approach, the phrase that you use, probably you could even be doing everything right, and your child as well is right, because it's just the developmental stage they are at. The fact is that crisis happens when we grow up, and as parents nowadays we don't have much of support as well. You don't have all the society that they had back in the day, where it was, I would say, 99% loving, but there was also strategies that they would use to teach them how to behave in society, but we don't have that much nowadays. So it's extremely, I would say it's extremely hard right now to deal with that. And the supermarkets and stuff like that are not made for children. It's very overwhelming with all the stimuli. Okay, probably you're doing everything right, and it's not you the problem, it's not your child, it's just the situation and the way that they are going through their development. So now that we have figured that, what is the background, what is the thing that you do, how can you apply that in your everyday life? Okay, let's say you have we're gonna take like all stages, like you have a 1 to 2 year old. So at this stage they are not verbal and not much verbal. This can be quite a frustration, because they're not able to say what's going on, and even they cannot even make the connection with their prefrontal cortex to just tell what is going on inside them. So at this stage, though, they are very attached to you probably, so a hug will do. Let go of the sadness, let go of the anger, and just a good hug, attachment parenting style will do if you have good attachment. If not, you can use some practices of attachment parenting as well. So you can baby wear, put your baby, your little one, in a baby wearing tool. If it's at the night and it's difficult for them to sleep, go sleep. So all of this is explained on the channel more if you want to go at those other videos, but these are excellent ways to attach yourself to your child. It's like taming your child every time. You do that over and over again. At this stage too, you can hold your little one when there's a tantrum, so they don't hurt themselves, they don't get to where they're not supposed to. And when you go out and about, just be very mindful that it's overwhelming. So maybe use a baby wearing tool, use a carrier to carry your little one around if you don't like baby wearing, but I strongly suggest it, as you know. And the more you're gonna work on those skills, the more they're gonna know what is allowed, what is not allowed. And also they would do in tribal societies is that they would create a mother ground where almost everything is allowed, and you can put like a perimeter of where they're not allowed to go, maybe in your house. So this is easier for you to, like, they're not always bumping against restrictions and everything. They're allowed to do a lot of stuff, and for stuff that you don't want, we'll have a few rules that you enforce lightly, gently, just keeping in mind the stage where your child is at. When they are like at school age, you can have still a lot of tantrums too, and sometimes we just tend to associate temper tantrums with young kids, but the thing is that there's a lot of frustrations sometimes in life, especially if there are sickness at home. They're going to have less patience, it's going to be harder for them, or if there's something that they really want but they can't get, this is another situation where it can be hard. So what you can do, I never recommend to put the child alone in a room and leave them there. So don't say go to your room, because it breaks the attachment bond. With time, it's really not worth it. You better, if you want to retreat, excellent, you can do it, but do it with your child. Retreat, both of you, and go in a room and weather the storm. And usually after a few minutes, it's gonna just calm down, and you're gonna be able to calm your child and console your child. And if they are calm, now you can explain why. When they're little, it's not really the time when they have a tantrum to explain why. You can do it later as a game, play with their toys and explain the things. Like usually I could, like with my 3 year old now, sometimes I take like his Hulk and we or his dolls or stuff like that, and we reenact a situation, a scenario, and we explain. Or sometimes I would just have a conversation about it, and he understands it more and what is allowed, what is not. With an older child now, they know pretty much the rules, but sometimes they just need to like a refresh, and so often you can do that after a tantrum. But the best thing when it's really intense, it's the most intense you have ever seen, you can do it like another day. Okay, don't do it all the same time. That's why the phrase is works so much, because the more you're gonna have crisis and everything, every crisis is an opportunity to learn. So for them, it's gonna fire neurons and they're gonna learn. But also, like a few moments later, or a day later, you're gonna explain more. And even you can add other people, other adults to explain. Okay, because in a tribal society, there would be a lot of people around to explain and to enforce the rules, or I would prefer to say the guidelines. But at home, you can ask your partner to do this with you as well, or you can read a book. You can talk about it, watch videos about it, what's the proper behavior. And so this is going to help a lot. But often also you have to assess what made the crisis happen. Okay, and every situation, was it because they were tired? There was something, probably you will find a cause, and then you can manage the this. Okay, if you don't manage the chaos is gonna probably happen again. But if you kind of like figure out, okay, they were tired, they were having like a little there was flu symptoms, so that's why they acted this way. It's not really because I said no about that, it's because they were very tired. So next time, maybe when they are in this mood or in this situation, you know how to interact and what to not to do, so it's easier for you both. So this is what you can do. And okay, so and don't, I just want to say this while I remember to see it, is don't beat yourself up if like something happens. Like it still happens to me. I've been talking about that for 16 years and it still happens to me. Like we all have our humble we all have our humble pie, I would say, moments where you think you know everything how it's gonna work, and it doesn't go very good. But don't beat yourself up, because you do your best and you show up as like the queen, the king, the empress, the emperor, parent, like the best you can be. So it's just something that there's going to be good moments and there's going to be bad moments, and we can live through that and all learn through that as well. So maybe you say, well, my child did tantrums when they were young, now not so much. But maybe for you, your child, and every child is different. Some are going to do more crisis when they're young, some it's going to be at their teenage years. Well, the teenager years are very important for attachment parenting. So if there are a lot of crisis and unhappiness at this time, it's very important that you assess your attachment bond with your child. And so what I would say at this stage is that they understand very well. And well, for me at least, it's very rare that there's a crisis or something of the kind. Sometimes there's just they don't respect boundaries, and we kind of get like a bit angry on both parties. So what really works well is just have a lot of conversation. And tribal societies, what they would do is that they could talk for days, so that everybody, because it was a democratic society, so that everybody has their say and the decision, everybody's happy. It's like always a win-win situation. Okay, so you can explain why you don't want something, and they can explain on their part why they need to do this that goes against what you said. Okay, stuff like that. And so if conversation don't work, it's because I would say most likely your attachment bond is not there. Okay, maybe they've started to attach to peers, and it's really a problem because nowadays we all live separately and we don't have the same values. Like when humans were living in tribes, everybody had the same values. So they would play with their cousins. So they would live in bands of about 30 to 150 maximum people. Okay, but everybody had the same values and the same way of parenting approach and everything. So when nowadays kids attach to peers, well, peers probably those peers probably have not a good attachment with bond, not a good attachment bond with their parents, and also they can have different values. So it's going to confront your values. There's always going to be a fight. So what you need to do first is reattach to your child, okay, and maybe cut some interaction with other people for other groups of friends, and just a few that you trust, and you know their parents as well. So because I really recommend the book Hold On to Your Kids about this if you want to know more why kids don't need really socialization with peers, because they are immature at this age until they are an adult. So the best way to socialize a child is to put him in a situation where there's a lot of adults watching over them. So yeah, maybe reattach them with with grandparents, with your partner, okay? Spend a lot of time together, talk, share activities. It really helps to just break a cycle and do something like take a good vacation together and just reattach and bond together. And then there, explain why, explain what you're gonna do, because you're still in charge, you're the adult, you're in charge of your child. So it's gonna help you like stop those tantrums and the later stages of development. So I hope it helps. I hope this phrase, very simple, this is what I recommend to parents nowadays, except if you have like a very difficult situation with certain developmental disorders. This is really what I recommend. And we can go, if you want, we can do a session on my website. You can book a session with me, with your child if this is the case. But mostly I feel like I feel that weathering the storm with love is going to guide them through those difficult times, and you as well. And always remember to, like I said, don't sweat it so much. I know it happened to me this week. That's why I made this video. I had a very difficult situation, and it was kind of the worst I have ever seen at that time. But then I reassessed what happened, and I found out, oh, okay, yeah, there was like this kind of bug at home, and they were tired, and this is why it happened. And so I kind of went through all the stages too. So this is very important to do this assessment after and put solutions in place, but also not to beat ourselves up, because we're doing the best we can where we are with what we have. And if you do it in a loving way and you're sure that you are very parenting with positive parenting tools, well, you're doing the best, and nobody could have done better probably. Okay, so if you'd like other parenting tips, just make sure you subscribe. And as you know as well, I have French and English videos for kids that you can watch on the channel, so make sure you subscribe. I also have a member area where you have many more videos that you can benefit from if you're interested. So thanks so much for your likes, for your subscribe. Please share to friends you know so they can have a better time at this too. And take care, guys. I'll see you very soon. Bye. What was I gonna say? C'est quoi je voulais dire? Don. Weather the storm with love.